G'day guys, it's your old pal Nick here from the Bulldog Fanatic YouTube channel, and in today's video we are previewing the monstrous clash at Marvel Stadium on Saturday night between the Western Bulldogs and the Collingwood Footy Club, round 12 of the AFL season. Let's get into it. Both teams coming off close wins last week. The Bulldogs, of course, winning by 3 points in an absolute classic on Sunday afternoon, and boy, am I still buzzing about that. While Collingwood are coming off, obviously, Scott Pendlebury's record-breaking 433rd game, and yeah, the Pies won by 10 points. Now, really close contest. The Eagles gave them a real run for their money, but Collingwood clutched up thanks to some brilliant play from Nick Daicos and the other Collingwood players. So both teams in good form, and they're seeing 9th and 10th on the list. So it's a really even contest heading into this game. The ins for both sides are interesting. For the Bulldogs, for once, we've just made the one change, and that is Tim English making his return, which is huge. Unfortunately, Luke Cleary goes out with a concussion. So, yeah, due to the protocols, he is out with concussion, which is unfortunate. He sustained from last week. In terms of Collingwood, they've had to make a lot of forced changes, unfortunately, due to the injuries they've sustained. Will Parker, Harvey Harrison, Tim Emery, and Angus Anderson all come in for Darcy Moore, who injured his hamstring again, so that's become a bit of a problem for him and Collingwood. Unfortunately, Jamie Elliott did his ACL, so he's out for this game and the rest of the year, which is a real shame because Jamie Elliott's one of my favourite players to watch, and he is clutches balls, that bloke. Charlie West omitted, and Will Hayes out with a dislocated shoulder, so very unfortunate for him and the Pies. So the Pies have had to make quite a few changes, so they probably get weaker, their best 23, or it does get weaker, especially probably losing their best key defender and best small forward, and probably best forward, I would say. So, yeah, quite a lot of changes for the Pies, and for us, we get Tim English, arguably our most important player, returns, so that is very nice to see. So this game is at Marvel Stadium, which I think helps a lot. I'm not saying Collingwood don't travel well to Marvel, but I think when we played the D's last week, I think the Marvel factor was a bit of an advantage for us because the D's like to play wide and use the width for the MCG, and obviously Marvel's a lot more narrow of a ground, so the D's couldn't exploit using their runners, and using their running power and using the wings as much because obviously the ground's a lot narrower. So we kind of had an advantage there. I'm hoping that's the same this week. I think Collingwood do play better at Marvel than the D's, but still, playing at Marvel does give a bit of an advantage. One thing that Collingwood will have as an advantage that Melbourne didn't is the crowd. It's going to be a monstrous crowd at Marvel Stadium. I reckon it's going to be over 45,000. Collingwood always pack out the game really well. No matter where they are on the ladder, Collingwood fans always turn up. Wherever they turn up, it's going to be a big crowd, and I think with the Dogs winning, I think a lot of Dogs fans will come to the game on Saturday night because, the vibe from last week's game is really good at the moment. So I think it's going to be a monstrous crowd, and I think there'll be more Collingwood fans there, despite it being a Dogs home game. So that might be a factor because I do feel like sometimes the crowd, especially at the MCG with Collingwood, they're like a 19th man. So yeah, that would be interesting to see. So I will be going, and it's going to be a monstrous crowd. So, yeah, very, very interesting. I rate a lot of things about Collingwood. They may not be the most talented team in the world, but they're coached really well by Craig McRae. I rate Craig McRae as a coach, and I really rate their pressure and, how they're drilled well as a side. They know how to play, and they know when to go in terms of a game style and game plan. They're just drilled so well, and they're very structured quite well, especially defensively. Collingwood have been one of the best defensive sides in the comp. So, large thanks to Billy Frampton taking a huge leap, and obviously having guys like Brian Maynard and Isaac Quaynor down there. So, yeah, just Collingwood are just really well set up as a side and structurally due to the veterans and due to the brilliance of Nick Daicos and due to the coaching of Craig McRae. So, this ain't going to be an easy game for the Bulldogs at all. Even though we're favourites, I think it's really even, almost like flip a coin type scenario, because I just really rate Collingwood as a side. They may not be the most talented team, and they've probably got they're exposing a lot of youngsters the last few weeks, which I think is better for them. But still, I just think the way they're coached and the way they're structured, I think it's not going to be easy at all. So that will be, a watch for the Dogs. A big narrative heading into this game is the battle between, in my opinion, the two best players in the competition, Marcus Bontempelli for the Bulldogs and Nick Daicos for the Collingwood Footy Club. Oh, in my opinion, the two best players in the comp, and they're going to be dueling it out in this game. And the last time they dueled each other in 2024, around 2024, when both teams were injury ravaged, they were both insane. BONT did win the battle, he got the 3 votes, and the Dogs did win the game. But I got the battle between those two that night was insane. They were just like a clear two. They were just a clear tier above from everyone else on that field that night, and I think it'll be the same again on Saturday nights. I wouldn't be surprised if Nick plays more forward because Collingwood, because Nick has been playing more forward the last few weeks and he's kicking snags for fun. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nick plays a little bit more forward, especially with no Jamie Elliott down there now. But yeah, I just can't wait to see the battle between Nick and Bont. I think it's going to be popcorn worthy. I think it's just going to be exciting, and I love seeing greatness, and I love seeing superstars battle each other. I love it in the NBA, and I love it in the AFL. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see, and this could be big for the AFL Coaches Association Award and the Brownlow Medal. Right now, Nick's ahead in the AFL Coaches Association Award, and on the Brownlow Predictor, Nick's also ahead of Bont. So this could swing the Brownlow Medal and Coach Association Award one way or the other, depending how both they perform and depending which team wins. So the Nick versus Marcus Bontempelli battle will be exciting to watch, but hopefully Bont wins the battle ultimately, of course. From a Dogs perspective, we just have to do what we did last week. Again, and apply pressure, win the midfield battle, and just have a good method going inside 50, and try not to get bogged down, by what the opposition do. We did that against Carlton and it failed. We got bogged down by going slow and wide and long to a contest, which what Carlton wanted. We didn't do that against them. We were more direct. We were playing faster, which is more what we like to do. It was what we did a lot last year. So we just got to do it again. And Collingwood, they apply a lot of pressure. In the game against Sydney a few weeks ago, yesterday, they applied a crap load of pressure, Collingwood, and they were in front for majority of the game due to that pressure, despite Sydney having, being the better team on paper and having more talent. Collingwood just, they're great at applying pressure, and when they get the ball forward moving, Collingwood, they are very, very dangerous, especially off turnover. So we have to be aware of that. So that is one thing I'll keep in mind. We just got to do what we did last week, really, and maybe a bit better, not have lapses, like conceding 3 goals in the last 2 minutes of a quarter. Can we not have that this time? Wasn't a fan of that. Can we just not have that again, please? So yeah, we just got to basically what we did last week is in how we win, and that is win the midfield battle, win the clearances, win the contest possession, kick straight, get inside 50, lock in our forward line, just do all those things really. So and that's the key to the Bulldogs winning, in my opinion. Team English coming back helps a lot. And it means, what do we do with Rory Lobb? Well, with Rory Lobb, I think given all of Aaron Norton, Will Lewis and Jordan Croft are in the forward line, I don't think Rory Lobb is going to be playing in the forward line. 4 talls is just way too tall for my liking. And I just don't think that's good structurally. So what I think will happen is, since Jed Busting is not back in, I think Rory Lobb's going to go back into the back line alongside James O'Donnell and Buku Khamis. It means Buku could play as the third tall and play as almost like a roaming interceptor, which he was really good at in the first month of the season. I think it means Nick Coffield plays smaller as well, which I think is more suited to him, plays on those medium, small forwards, Nick Coffield, instead of having to play taller. So yeah, Rory Lobb will go back into the back line. And I don't know, will he be still relief rucking for Tim English? Because it says on the lineup right now that Rory Lobb is starting the ruck while Tim English is on the bench. So I don't know if that will actually happen. But I mean, just to see what Rory Lobb does. But my theory is he will go back into defence, So yeah, just to make the defence a little bit taller, and probably what it was at the start of the year, which worked really well of the Rory Lobb, James O'Donnell, Buku Khamis key back trio. Final thoughts for this game are, well, it's a must-win really for both teams, but it's a must-win from a Bulldogs fan. We have to win this because we play Hawthorn next Friday night at the G, and the way they played last night, as I'm filming this on the Friday, are terrifying. And we do not play well against Hawthorn, so it's a must-win. If I want to take this Bulldogs team seriously again, I want to have this faith that the Dogs can do something this year, meaningful in September possibly. This is a must-win for us. It's a team very similar to us. But Collingwood, I think we can beat Collingwood. I think it's going to be a close game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's low scoring because both teams have been struggling to score a lot this year. So I think it'll be close, but I think we get the chocolates, and hopefully Bont is BOG, to get those 3 Brownlow votes, of course. So it's going to be an interesting game. It's always interesting against Collingwood. It's going to be hostile, I think, at Marvel. But I'm excited. Saturday night footy, baby. But anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. And as always, go you mighty Bulldogs. See you next time.